Good morning or good day, Accelerators organization. I am Joel Gandara. I'm excited to be here with you to answer your questions. So, I've been an entrepreneur since the fourth grade, like literally have been, and making money since then. That's who I am, what I do. Uh, who I am as an entrepreneur. What I do specifically to me is irrelevant as far as what the business is. Started selling trading cards when I was a kid, then moved to chocolates and lending money and got into a bunch of other things. And then I started an apparel company, a fulfillment business, and I grew those and sold them. And now I just coach. So that's who I am. I live in South Florida, Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and I've been mentoring here for a few years and enjoying the heck out of it. So thanks for having me, and thanks, Sean, for inviting me to be a mentor here many years ago. Not a lot of questions, but we'll get right into them. The first one is from Sam Tran. What suggestions do you have to help me create more prospects in my new business? I just started with a network marketing company. I ran out of friends and family. Can you share any ideas you would use if you had to create a new flow of leads for selling life insurance? So I hope that you did not run out of friends and family because you bothered them so much that they got out of your life. This is a delicate balance when you're selling something to friends and family. Then you got to be careful that you're not the guy that, oh, you're at a party and everybody goes, oh God, there's Sam. He's going to try to sell me more of that life insurance that I don't want. That's a delicate balance because you don't want to scare everyone away, but you do want to let them know and stay top of mind about life insurance or whatever it is that you're selling at the time. So let's see. The beauty, you run out of friends and family. You cannot create more family. You can, but that takes a long time to do. So you got to create more friends. Think of it that way. I think that really helps to not think of, I just got to go meet more people. No, I got to go make more friends. And if you make more friends, then it becomes a more natural approach. You go to more events and you build relationships with people. You listen to their issues. You help them wherever you can. And then as they get to know you and they get to know what you do, the moment they think of life insurance or someone dies in their family and dies without life insurance and they go, I probably should talk to somebody about life insurance. Boom, Sam is top of mind. He's the main guy that I think about. But to do that, you got to stand out. You got to be a great friend. You have to build that relationship. You have to send them a handwritten note one day because you had a meaningful conversation or they gave you value in some way, and you just keep building that with them. You got to start a newsletter so that once a month or once a quarter or however often you want, you send an email out to your network, and now you're just that guy, the insurance guy that you stay top of mind. So that's how I have built my relationship and with people over time, and that has worked. Now, I always had something to sell in the past that wasn't related to anybody I know. I had an apparel company, but it was very specific. I sold underwear and swimwear, and that's not for everybody. The ones that I sold, so it didn't really help that I had friends. I had nothing to sell them. But once I became a coach years ago, then it changed because most of the people that I am friends with are entrepreneurs, and that's who I coach. So that led to like an instant client source. Although I never planned it that way, I was just building friendships, and that helped because now I'll send a newsletter maybe 4 or 5 times a year, and I always get somebody writing back like, "Oh, that's right, you do this. I'd like to talk to you about it." So I'd approach it that way. So having said that, what else can you do other than just build those relationships? How do you get in front of those new friends? Today, I am going to a sales seminar from 10 to 2 p.m. I invited somebody that I coach to come with me at no expense to him. And what happens there is, to be honest, the material that will be covered in that, I might get a nugget or two, and that's cool. I don't really want to sit there for 4 hours. I know I'm going to get up a lot. I'm going to go get coffee. I'm going to go get water. I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm there to see friends and make new friends. It's not a forced thing. I'm not like, oh God, I got to go talk to everyone here. But because my new venture is what I'm doing now, I should go out and meet new friends. And if I could connect them with somebody, that's honestly to me more of a driver. I'll find someone, I'll meet someone, oh, and what are you going through? What are your challenges right now? And they'll tell me. And if I have a friend that has gone through something like that, who's in that industry, that to me is a home run. If that's all that happens from that event, that I connected them with the right person, and a year later they tell me, hey, I met you a year ago and you connected me with somebody and they really helped me. Home run. I'm so happy with that. So I think it's important to approach it from that. It's not good to go as a salesy approach where you're just there to sell them insurance. Nobody wants to hear about that. Insurance is such a non-sexy thing to talk about. It's not fun. Maybe for you it is, but for the average person, and I have life insurance policies, but it's not fun to talk about. It's like selling me a casket because my great grandmother died. I don't really want to talk about that. You do it when you need to. By the way, the first time I got a life insurance policy was when a 36-year-old neighbor of mine, I was 30 at the time, just met this neighbor at a barbecue. We were all just moving into this brand new community, and a 36-year-old neighbor of mine died of a heart attack. He smoked. And that got me really nervous. And I said, "Ooh, I should probably have life insurance." And that's when I first started buying life insurance. So, I said that because I don't know. Maybe people will think of you whenever some life event happens. You just got to be top of mind. So go out to events. And it's, again, remember, it's not for you to, hey, here's what I do. Here's my card. Let's talk life insurance. No, build the relationship. The business might come later if you do a good job with the relationship. Hope that helps, Sam. All right. Ricardo Delgado, what has been a good percentage of return for investors in companies? I'm eventually planning to start a second business venture and want to get investors involved. I'm willing to give investors a piece of the pie. How much is ideal? Looking forward to hearing the responses. Thank you. So, Ricardo, my friend Ricardo, you're asking two questions first because you said, what has been a good percentage of return for investors in the company? That's their return on investment, their ROI. And the other question at the end there was, I'm willing to give investors a piece of the pie. How much is ideal? So let's say you start this business and it all stems from the valuation that you think this has and that you can convince people of it. So let's say that you say that this idea with you behind it, as the brains behind it, your experience, all of that, today is worth, let's just call it $250,000. I know we all want to say, well, no, my idea is worth $5 million, but it's an idea. We all have ideas. They're worthless until you convince people that they're worth something. How do you convince them of that? You, as the founder, because I've invested in several companies and I invest mostly because of the founder, and the idea has to be good and the whole plan has to be good. And the promise of like, okay, this is good timing, that's a good area he's going to be in, that looks promising. So if it's worth $250,000 and you say, okay, that's what the idea is worth today. Tomorrow it's going to, or in 6 months, once I break ground or get it going, it might be worth $500,000 and then $1 million. And so as you raise money in the future, you're going to give less equity. But up front, maybe if you do it under this way, where you're talking about bringing in investors, then you are going to give more of a percentage. So let's say that you need, of the $250,000, you only have, let's call it $125,000, meaning you need to get from investors another $125,000. You're going to lose 50% right in one shot. That's a lot. So if you could do this, you could think about it that way. So you're giving them half, whether that's one person that brings 125,000 or a couple of people, a few that each bring in 25,000. So you have 5 people, they each bring in 25,000. They are jointly 50% of your company. I don't know that you want to give up 50% right up front. So if these were to be the numbers, so why not look at it more of as a loan, where they're loaning not to you personally, but to this company. So your risk is, their risk is with the company. If this company fails, everybody lost their money. You did, they did. So that way, maybe it's a loan, and maybe you offer 10, 12, I don't know, maybe you go as high as 15% interest on that loan. I've invested in multiple ways where I get shares of a company or I'm just loaning the money. And with the loan, obviously, if money is being made, the people with the loan there are going to be paid first before investors get a distribution. So it's a good position to be in up front. If you turn this into a $100 million company, you never gave up equity. You just paid 15% interest or whatever the interest rate is. So different ways to look at that. Obviously, you want to collect as much money up front from your investors or people who loan you the money and give as little equity as you can. But there's a balance there, and it's your job to convince them. My recommendation would be to try to borrow money through the company, not you personally, And some people might want a personal guarantee. If this bombs, I want you to pay me back personally. That's your decision. And this round here, this early seed round, is more friends and family. So that's who you're going to be going after. I think your pitch deck, which I know because our conversation, you were working on one, could be good and it should be enough. But as you get into a more sophisticated investor at a higher valuation, once you're in business and getting things going and money's coming in, that's where it'll get a little more sophisticated. So right now, it's not too much pressure, hopefully. It's just friends and family. Tell them what you're doing and see what they could commit to. You could do a round of asking people, having one-on-one calls with them and say, hey, are you interested? If so, how much can I count on you for? And we're expecting to need to call this money or need it in, let's call it March 1st of next year. And so if you commit to it, I'll need to know how much, and will you be ready by March 1st to hand over the money or do the wire transfer, cut me a check. And that's how you go about it. That's one thought. I'm not a guy who's raised money before. I've invested. I haven't been the one raising money, but as we talk about it more, I could put you in touch with some people who are good at that. Next question is from Johan Damert. Should I start a sales job? I am 18 and am a part-time student at Florida International University, Golden Panthers. That's where I graduated from. I am also trying to scale my local moving company. I'm not insanely busy, but my hours fluctuate a lot. I want a sales job to learn, meet new people, and make more money. However, I want to continue to grow my moving company. I have a new truck and now have guys that can do the work for me. I think I should get a sales job, but don't want to slow down my moving company. Maybe quit college, or should I dive more into my business? So Johan and I introduced Johan to AO, so we've talked quite a bit. I mentored him for about a year recently. And so I think you know my opinion on this, Johan. It'd be great for you to hear other mentors. But my opinion is, I graduated college. You know when I graduated? When I was 28 years old. Why? Because I worked full time and I'd take like one or two classes at night in college, maybe, and then I'd take a semester or two off when I was too busy. Summers, I'd work two full-time jobs. I always had a side business. So I was really, really busy, and that's why it took me 10 years. I didn't get financial aid. I didn't get parents helping me. I paid for every single semester myself. I'd write a check. I'd buy the books. For me, just for me, it's one of my few regrets in life is going to college. I'll be honest with you. I don't know that I could tell you what I learned. Maybe there's something subconsciously, but I was in business and I was working and I was learning. So I had a job. I had my own business. I learned more from that than anywhere else. I remember going to college classes, business classes, and hearing everyone around me, and they had no clue. They didn't know what the professor and I would talk about. As the professor would ask questions, I remember I'm not the smartest guy, but man, I knew the answers. I'd raise my hand and I'd give them real life experience. I remember one accounting professor who was just asking questions about perception in the market and stock prices. He was a really smart guy. He was the head of the accounting department at FIU. And and when I would answer stuff, he'd always say like, "Are you some sort of genius?" And I go, "No, I've been working since I was a kid." And everyone around me, it was all a textbook. I don't know about you. I think, Johan, I think you're the same. I don't learn as much from a textbook as making a sales call and learning what that customer wants. How could you put that in a textbook? You have to have that conversation with people. You have to learn about people and process and vendors and customers and all that sort of stuff. So when I graduated college at 28 years old, I took a job with a company. It was Carnival Cruise Lines, and it was a sales position. And I worked really hard, and I was on track to do like six figures within the next year with that company. But I'll tell you, so the money was good, and it was the last job I had. I was there for 10 months, and I left, and then I've only worked for myself since then. But they paid me money, good money, to teach me how to sell really well. So that, to me, what's more valuable? Think about it. You're going to use a textbook in college, and you're going to pay them to teach you outdated information, mostly from guys who and women who teach because they weren't making millions out in the market, right? Or you can go to a company, build a really good relationship with the vice president of that sales department of that company, and with the directors and with the coaches and the managers and all them and all your colleagues. And guess what? They're going to teach you real life how to sell today with today's tools, with today's technology. Oh, yeah, and they're going to pay you. So that's a decision for you to make if you're going to stay in college and remember, college is still largely run the way it was run 100 years ago. You go to a location to learn from the one person who knows, the all-knowing professor, and they tell you these things, and then you write them all down, and then when they ask you for them in the test, you have to spit them back out to them. I can promise you that real life doesn't work that way. Real life is getting your hands dirty, talking to clients, figuring out what they want, and thinking outside the box. In college, for the most part, in my experience, I'm a ADHD, outside the box thinker. College was not great for me for that. They wanted me to memorize data and spit it right back to them. Unless college has turned into a lab and a workshop where you're making sales calls, where you're talking to accountants and balancing books and then having to make decisions, which, by the way, that's all great. But when it's pretend money, you don't learn as much as when it's your money on the line, your commission on the line, and you got to figure this out. Let me go talk to the sales manager because I got a person on the line here who I could sell something big to, but we have an issue. Let me go work that out. You think a textbook's going to do it? I've never heard of that doing. Now, you want to study business and marketing and sales? College is usually not the place. You want to go be a dentist, a doctor, an accountant? That is the place because that is where you have to learn this data and spit it right back out. So depends what you want to study. Oh, and by the way, I think I've had some success in business. I was a business major, and guess what? I had to change my major if I wanted to graduate from college. Why? Because you had to take calculus for business to be a business major. Now, any of you who've been in business for a while, when have you used calculus? The answer is never, unless you're some sort of scientist and that's your company. Business does not require calculus, yet universities are so far behind that they want you to take calculus, and I couldn't pass it. I didn't even understand what was being said. I did not know how to use the calculator. That's how unintelligent you need to be, and still you become very successful in business. So that right there is a sign in itself. I had to minor in business because that did not require calculus. I think that's ridiculous. All right. Hope that helps, Johan. Sean Gannon, the question is, have you ever hired an SEO company and what should I look for when trying to increase awareness through SEO for my business? Sean, yes, I've hired SEO companies, multiple of them. I worked with one for maybe 12 years and I was spending a lot of money, $7,000 to $8,000 a month on SEO for my websites. And I don't know that I did a great job of tracking success, although there are tools, I forget now because I just recently sold the company and I don't worry about it anymore, so I've been erasing that stuff. But there are tools to see if you are ranking better with a certain term. Now, one thing is make sure that where you're ranking, it's not just about, oh, they're bringing me traffic. Are you converting? Is that good traffic? So first off, SEO takes a while. You're not going to see results in the first 3 months, probably. You'll start seeing results as you get closer to 6 months, maybe. So you got to be willing to make that investment into the SEO that's going to drive traffic to your site. But more importantly, is the traffic that's being sent to your site the right traffic? Let's say that you sell a very specific cup, right? So you don't want people looking for cups. You want people looking for unique gift cups, unique, just that. And that's more of a niche. And that way you know that if they search those terms, you're the guy they're looking for. But if they search for cups, I mean, is that a coffee cup? Is that a cup for water? Is that an athletic cup, that you wear in baseball? So just make sure that you know what those terms are that you want to bring people in and see that every month, like month 1, you're at 30th place on Google organically. But after some work is being done, month 3, you're at 24th place. You made a big jump. You're improving and keep moving up that way to make sure the results are happening. That's it. I hope. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. I didn't read your further description. It was on a separate page. And you say here, so Sean says, we sell boats and my inventory is pretty full. I need to reach as many people as I can in my state and the states around me. Okay, so Sean, maybe the search term is not boat or boats because a million companies are trying to shoot for that, and it's going to be very hard for you to move up in that. You're going to write a million articles and just be the one awesome, best website at bringing people to that. But the reality is that's someone who probably doesn't know exactly what they're looking for. They're at the top of the beginning of the funnel, just starting to think of like, let's look at boats. You're looking for somebody who's searching for the type of boats that you carry and that you specialize in. And I hope you're specializing in something, because that's how you get to become the #1 rated, organic Google searched vendor in your space. So it's like, whatever, I don't know much about boats, but 30-foot boats near me, and those are near you, and let's call it, I don't know where you are, but let's say you're in South Carolina. Well, you're near Myrtle Beach, then you want speed boats in Myrtle Beach. Maybe that's the type of term you're looking for. But you just try to get that specific, but also measure if that's the traffic that's coming in for that search term. How are those turning into leads? If you can track that, are those the ones that click through to fill out a sheet? Are those the ones that click call now? So you get them on the phone. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. I hope that helps, Sean. Well, everyone, thanks for joining this AO mentor session with me, Joel Gandara. I hope this was valuable. Remember, if you ask questions, it's not just the value of you getting them answered. There's someone out there who's not asking questions, but they benefit from you asking, because they have a similar issue. And then the other thing is, maybe you don't have that issue today, but when you put all of this information, question, which is an issue, answer, which hopefully is a potential solution, into your subconscious, the day that something even similar happens in 8 years, in 10 years, your brain's gonna know how to possibly have a solution for that, and you won't even remember that it's because of this. So it's a good reason to hear problems and look for solutions, or listen to solutions, so that you could start thinking that way. All right, everybody, have a fantastic day.